right, guys. Hey, we're back with part three, working on lesson one. All right, so where we left off, we were just explaining the whole point of those numbers that are written in and the little tiny numbers written in with the slash. Okay, so if we were starting you out back again in beginner band, again, these are all fundamentals, still important, still important. Okay, we'd normally have the metronome set for you. Okay. Right now my phone is dead, so that's why you're hearing me snapping my fingers. Okay, so right now, I want you to think of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay. Now think the same with your foot. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You should be patting with the front of your foot. Down, up, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, I'm going to stop that for a sec. Right then, I was snapping as if they were eighth notes, okay? But the reason I'm doing that is going to play in later lessons. But for right now, you should be thinking down, up, 1, 2, okay? Because we need to think of the full length of beats. Now, quarter notes get how many beats? They get 1 beat, okay? Now, when we say it, though, we're not just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. For right now, we're going to go with the down ups because that's subdividing. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So even when you're practicing this at home, I want you to say it that way. Okay, thinking the down up, inflect with your voice. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you're going to sound a little silly, but I promise it's going to pay off later on when you're counting rhythms on your own and you're having to think with maybe a metronome going or just tapping your foot. Okay, but okay, let me rewind real quick. So what you're going to notice, okay, is for every downbeat or down arrow, that's where the number hits. Okay, that's where the strong part of the beat is. Okay, then our foot will go up, and the next time it goes down, that's when we go to the next quarter note. It's made it for 1 full beat. Now we go on to count 2. Again, it's on the downbeat. Okay, that's when our foot is hitting the ground. Goes up, and then once our foot comes back down, we're on beat 3. And you're going to notice the same. Now, when we get to this measure, what are those squiggly lines called? They're called quarter rests. Some of you might have said rests, but they are called quarter rests. Now, underneath those quarter rests, you're going to see some very tiny numbers with a slash written through them. Why do you think a slash would be written through those little numbers? Take a moment. If you said it's because they're silent, you would be correct. Okay, so we're not wanting to make any sound right here. We want 4 beats of silence. Okay, that's also why they're smaller. Okay, when we're playing notes, we want to play with confidence. We want to make sure they're heard. But when we have rests, okay, we must be quiet. Okay, so if you take a look at your next measure, okay, what measure does it look similar to? It looks similar to the first measure. So take this time and write in those counts. Put your 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want you to draw the down arrows and the up arrows as well. Okay, it is important where you put those. What did we say earlier? Down arrows go underneath the number. Okay, up arrows go after. Okay, and then when you get to the last measure, it's just like measure 2. So what are you going to do? You're going to write your numbers small. You're going to put a little slash through them to show that they are counted silently in your head. Okay? So take a moment, pause the video, write this in real quick. Okay? Okay. Now, here's an important reason why you don't want to write your stuff in with marker. Because by the time you get to where, I'm on the wrong end of the page, where you get to writing in like the small numbers, you can't tell what that is. So you make sure and you write it in with a pencil. Okay? Now, if we were to go about counting this, remember, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's go through the first 2 measures together, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'd stop right there, okay? So we only went this far. We did these first 2 measures. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then you saw me kind of tilt my head a little bit as we counted the rest, but did you hear any sound? No, okay? So again, you got to get to a point you can count this in your head. But in my head, I'm going, and yes, I even do the inflection in my head, okay? So now, if we were to count the entire thing, okay? Again, make sure you're tapping your foot with this. High schoolers, you could pick a note and you could play this. Just make sure you're playing everything the correct length of time. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I would stop right there. Okay. Now we have to go on to line 2. So things change up a little bit on line 2, and they even were nice enough to write it out for you. So again, we have 3 quarter notes, downbeat, then upbeat, downbeat, then upbeat, downbeat, then upbeat. But then wait a minute, that's not a big number, that's a small number with a slash through it. Okay, so what does that mean? There's a rest. Okay, so in this case, is there still a downbeat and an upbeat? Yeah, of course, because a rest lasts a certain amount of time too. Okay, so in this case, this measure right here would sound like, tapping your foot again, 1, 2, 3. So you didn't hear me make any sound for beat 4, but where is that 4 still written over? It's still written over the downbeat. Okay, so it's still important that you understand that these numbers, these strong beats, these quarter notes fall on the downbeat. Okay, take a look at measure 2, measure 3, and measure 4. Same or different? They're the same. Okay, so you should easily be able to write those counts in and then count the whole thing. So pause the video real quick and write those counts in. Okay. All right, let's count this together. Tapping your foot, down, up, 1, 2, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I would stop right there. That got me the whole line. Okay, I not only did the inflection with my voice with 1 to think down, up, I was also thinking with my foot. Okay, down, up. All right. And if you notice on lines 3 and lines 4, all it's doing is it's increasing the number of rests you now have. Okay, so this is where it starts to get really important that you can count the notes and you can understand how long the rests last. And that tapping your foot down and up is still very much important. Okay, this is something I still do to this day, and I've been playing longer than most of you have been alive. Okay, unless you're some random stranger on YouTube watching this, then like I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go through those lines, okay, and I want you to continue to write the counts in and write your downbeats and upbeats in, okay? So go ahead and do that through line 5, okay? That'll be for you to do on some of your own independent time. Now, real quickly, take a look, jumping all the way down to line 6. Take a look at each measure. What starts to decrease? The number of notes, okay? So the first measure, you have 4 quarter notes. Next measure, only 3. Next measure, 2. Last measure, 1, okay? And if you look at the sheet, you're going to notice it starts to get really important that you can tap your foot and count your rests, because if you don't count properly, you're not going to come in at the right time. And eventually we will come back and do some practice with playing this, okay? Same thing goes on for line 7, okay? Some of the measures are the same, and then some of the measures are different. So the first 2 measures, you have 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and then notice it changes in the next measure. You have 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Almost every time I go over this with somebody that's in the junior high band, they always put this big old gap because they see that bar line in between those notes, okay? That bar line does not matter other than to tell you that a new measure is starting. You still play continuously. That's like if you saw one sentence and then another, but you took a big old gaping breath in between. Like, I like pizza. I like Dr. Pepper. No, you can say, I liked pizza. I like Dr. Pepper. Okay? You can do that without taking a big old honking breath. Okay? And as you continue to go on, okay, let's take a look at line 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it makes you wait longer and longer each time. But as long as you're tapping that foot and you're counting, you got this made in the shade. Okay? So I'm going to let you complete the rest of this and writing the counts in. That is your work to do. Okay? Now, real quick, let's go over what your homework is going to be. Okay? So notice on your homework, it says, if not finished in class, okay, because we're quickly running out of time. All right? Your homework is going to be to write in your counts with the big numbers, the little numbers and the slashes, and the downbeats and upbeats only for the first 3 lines. Okay? All right. That's your work for August 13th. Have a good day.